I like what Nancy Pelosi, I'm going to get to the final report from the J6 committee. I know it's swamping the news cycles right now, but I would be remiss if I don't at least address part of this podcast in that direction. But before they do that, yesterday at her final press conference as a leader in Congress, Speaker Pelosi smacked Donald Trump across the face while she was reflecting on her own legacy. She said, quote, "I was Speaker and Minority Leader under President Bush, under President Obama, and under what's his name?" Bless your heart, Pelosi. Jesus. She added, "The hardest thing that I had to do is when we had a Democratic president and we were in the minority. I was minority leader, and the hardest thing I had to do was to sustain a presidential veto. Because the Republicans would roll out stuff that sounded like a chocolate sundae, but it's more like dog do." Quote, I love this woman. I swear to God I do. Now, as you know, Congress has the power to override a presidential veto, but it takes 2/3 vote in both the House and Senate. And when Democrats were in the minority, it was difficult for the Democrats to sustain a veto. Last month, Pelosi announced that she is retiring, her leadership role. She's going to remain as a representative from the San Francisco District of California. But she said, and something I really appreciated, she said at the time she announced her relinquishing her leadership position, she said, quote, "The hour has come for a new generation to lead," end quote. Bless her heart. And the person elected to succeed her, of course, is the Democrat from New York, Representative Hakeem Jeffries. Pelosi has so many firsts after her political career that I couldn't even begin to go through the list, but she was the first woman elected Speaker of the House. And she has been asked, I'm sure more than once, what advice she would give to women who look to her as a role model. She said, quote, "The best advice I ever had that I extend to you is be yourself. You're the only person in the history of the world who is you. What you have is authentic, is special, is unique, and that diversity is necessary at the table." End quote. She also added that she wanted women to, her words, have confidence. She said this, quote, "So sometimes when I act a little more, shall we say, like myself, it's because I want them to know it's okay to assert yourself, to have confidence in what you bring to the table, and also to understand your uniqueness." And then she added, "I have been overwhelmed by women telling me how I've given them confidence or what a role model I have been. And I say, don't worry about any role model. Be yourself." End quote. And I think that has a echo of what I read decades ago, "To thine own self be true." I don't know where it comes from. It doesn't matter. But I remember reading that, or maybe my Boy Scout leader telling it to me, or somebody at the YMCA, or at art classes that I took, or wherever it was. Somebody who was in a position of authority said that to me, quoted it to me, "To thine own self be true." And for better or for worse, it has stuck with me, and I've tried to do that. I think Donald Trump has been himself. He is a bum. He's a liar, a cheat, a sneak, prevaricator, a traitor, a treasonous scum bastard. Did I leave anything out? And he's been true to that. Nothing would ever change Trump. Even when the sainted Susan Collins, senator from Maine, is it Maine? Yeah. When the sainted Susan Collins, after voting no to convict the bastard after the first impeachment, remember what she said? Something about, well, I think he's learned his lesson now. I don't think he would ever do anything again. Oh, sure, Susan, of course. Oh, MFG. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.